2016 Allrad Abenteuer Expo, Bad Kissingen, Germany. My second visit here last year. I declared then that it was really my opinion, based on what I'd seen and experienced, the biggest overland expo in the world. And they started using what I'd said in some of their publicity. Come back this year and, well, now I know for sure that it's the biggest.
Tools.
Les gens de Ramon. Ah, tiens, ça c'est à toi.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Of course, I've had to come out here really early. Well, it's 9:30. Gates open at 10. Yesterday, it was just a throng of people. You couldn't. It was unbelievable, actually. Public holiday in Germany. Well, what do you expect? If anything, this show is bigger and better than last year. For one thing, there are far more smaller vendors, catering for the DIY person, who, like me, enjoy fitting out their own vehicles. Like this, for example. I mean, I can spend an hour at the stand alone looking at boxes of little bits and pieces, electrical gadgets and lights and LEDs and relays, and because this is for the DIY builder. Guys that want to do it themselves. And up to now, this show has been quite thin in terms of that kind of booth. Fit your own suspensions. Do your own aluminium welding. And this, carpets and rubber extrusions for those building their own campers. And look at these little beauties. LED lights from a company called Lumicoin. What is very encouraging is that major manufacturers, yes, these are dealers, but are taking interest in overlanding, which means that many vehicles that are not on the overland radar end up being displayed and new ideas are generated, especially Jeep over there, Volkswagen here, and no Land Rover this year. Perhaps they're feeling, well, we're not really in the overland market anymore. No Defender means they don't build a vehicle that is suitable for overlanding at all anymore. Of course, if you're a Toyota Land Cruiser fan, it's a great place to be. Ah, now this is worth looking at. Isn't it gorgeous? That is just splendid. I wonder if that is an original CJ2. I'm assuming it is. It is on the Jeep stand after all. But only a real Jeep expert can actually tell the difference. There are some subtle clues apparently, but isn't that beautiful? And Geländewagen, another one of my favorites. This Geländewagen in chassis cab form gives me the ideal opportunity to have a really good look at its portal axles. One of the best places to get inspiration for a personal design is to actually not go through the big manufacturers, but to go to the small guys, the guys that work in their garages and develop products, because all of these guys have one thing in common. They actually do it. They actually go off-road and they develop products from first-hand experience. This particular Land Cruiser has been around the world twice. This company, small, Picra, and they've got some very nice ideas indeed.
One of the improvements from my traveling experience in this interior here is the sliding doors. So at about 10 years ago I did pretty much the same setup. However, the sliders were inverse in this case. So the sliders here, they were in the door actually, and the gap from the sliders, how to explain, was in the board.
What Klaus was trying to explain was that when you're building your own interiors like this, make sure that the tolerances are not too small, because if there are dust and grit, get in them and then stop the sliders working. Here's a second attempt. He's given a bit of more space here, which means he can brush it out and things work better for longer.
Our stove also has magnetic feet, which are mounted to the bottom of it, and the counterpart, the metal part, is underneath this, this plain surface.
Simple but clever, laminated aluminium with plastic. I've actually cut it here to test how strong it is. Now I know that plastic hinges are very common in industry. So simple, clever, can be mounted anywhere. Nice looking product.
Yeah, that's our foldable kitchen. Protection from wind from the outside. And a strong lock, magnetic lock, which is easy to open, by the way.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. So these are the screws.
Oh, the riv nuts.
Yes, for the back door.
Okay,
And here is the camping kitchen.
great. I have no idea where I'm going to fit it in my new rig. I just know I need to find somewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very nice piece of kit.
Thank you.
I am the guest this year of Bush Taxi. Bush Taxi is an internet forum dedicated to land cruisers overlanding around the world. But I do have one main reason for being here this year, and that is to continue my research into the 6x6 Land Cruiser build that begins in a few months. And to that end, I'm getting inspiration from all the campers on display. I'm a little confused as to the idea of a solid pop-up camper with a fabric lift. The fabric lift obviously gives you more headroom. But the advantage of solid is that you are insulated from the weather. The moment you pop up the top, you've now got fabric. So you're no longer insulated from the weather. So the solution behind that is something like this here, which is a solid. It's a solid camper all the way to the top. So you get the insulation, but you have that extra height. So is it height or insulation? That one over there is both. This one is interesting. Expandable, but with solid walls throughout.
Ready? Very, very difficult. From outside a very small cabin, from inside a real good feeling. And you have a real big storage possibility. About 500 liter in the front and 200 in the back. You have also toilet, heating inside. You have water tank inside, easy to access. You have a boiler for having warm water. You have an electrical cabinet, simply to access. You have also a very good fridge and enough space for cooking. Whole concept is also useful in winter due to the very high insulation of the walls. And the whole package is empty at around 200 kilogram and completely as it is with 500.
This is Alucab's Osavar camper solution, but it is most definitely a live outside solution. You only sleep inside. You can't really sit inside. You only, when you retire for the night. But access to your kitchen, to your equipment, to all your stores from outside is second to none. But there is no living inside apart from sleeping. Now I'm glad I found this. This is the four-wheel camper, the camper that I used in California, Death Valley. Interesting comparison between what is available in North America, and in many respects I actually prefer this. I'm not sure why, but this is the same configuration as Gun and I used in Death Valley. It really is nicely finished, don't you think? And down below is a shower drain, and I think this is Still one of the best out there. I think it's got so much going for it. This is different. In a way I prefer this, I'm not sure, but anyway. I like the four campers. They do a good job, and I've got some features which I am going to take, ideas that I'm going to take for my own creation. I've snuck into the stand, Genesis Import. They're importing a lot of equipment from kit from South Africa, including this Alucab rooftop tent. They've even made another Icarus. Icarus was the black overweight Land Rover that I tested November 2014, was it? About 1.2 million views on my YouTube channel. The highest gross. I digress. I'm here Sunday morning, early, before the crowds arrive at this fantastic expo. Now it's time for me to come to some conclusions about this expo. I was actually wrong earlier. I said that Land Rover was not represented here. Well, they are. Obviously a local Land Rover dealer, still presenting to the world vehicles that you can't buy anymore. I don't quite get that. Well, one of the saddest things in motoring, certainly in my world, that they've stopped building these incredibly unreliable but beautiful to use vehicles. For me personally, it's been fantastic because I thought the US show would have, you know, lots and lots of camping. Of course, we drove the four-wheel camper, which I learned so much from and actually love that product in many different ways. But here, there are so many. Here's another one. They're everywhere. These campers designed to fit on the back of pickups. There must be 20 different ones here. Maybe more than 20. Just so many. And a lot of them I've discounted because they're just too big, they're just too high. And of course, when you go too high, you hit branches, you hit trees. In mountain trails, sometimes it's difficult, you know, and you can't fit it into a container, which is a big thing. You know, if you want to go overseas, you need to fit it into a container. You put row off, you know, on a ship, just on the deck. You can do that. They get broken into by the crews. Very common. So you need to find a vehicle that does fit into a container if you have any plans of taking your vehicle across the sea. Now, in my conclusion to Abenteuer, I said that with a really good German accent, didn't I? The fact is that I've been spent the last 4 days with them, and some of them have really, the ones that I can't understand, have really strong German accents. Do you hear about the Englishman who bought a toaster from Siemens and it broke off for 3 days, and he says, he phones up and says, I'm disgusted, I'd like to speak to, who am I speaking to? Sir, you are speaking to the sales manager, Hamburg, Zone 4. Oh, well, I insist, I demand, I want to speak to the chairman. But sir, we are all chairmans here. That's my German joke. Fantastic show. Brilliant. And I said earlier that the show was the biggest in the world in terms of a dedicated overland show. It's the best in the world. I have to say it because the quality of the exhibitions, the vendors, the range of vehicles, the range of equipment, the way it's laid out, I mean, they had 20,000 on Thursday. And it was hectically busy, but 20,000? What other show in the world carries 20,000 in one day? So, and the vendors have been talking to me and they've said, great show. Best, very, very happy people. And so I have to conclude. But in terms of viewers and the experience of coming here, of course, with the famous campground, thousands of enthusiasts gather, sensationally good. Really, really good. Best in the world, I'd say so. Give you extreme traction in mud, I would say.
In the next video that I shot at Allrad Abenteuer 2016, I'm going to be looking at what tyres are trending. What are people choosing to fit to their vehicles for their overland travels?
Yes. Dunlop. If you're going off-road, buy something else.